What's up, guys? Nepenthes here, and welcome to the FUTBIN's inaugural podcast with myself, Richard Buckley, and Matt, as you guys may know from the FC and FIFA community, now working for FUTBIN. I'll introduce those in a moment, but first of all, we're going to be talking today about FC 26 and the gameplay deep dive, breaking down everything EA and some EA employees have given us that you might have missed in today's show. If you're enjoying it, follow on socials and suggest in the comments the best name you can think of for a FUTBIN podcast that is not in the bin. And with that, let's bring in Richard Buckley.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. It feels good to be reunited again. Once teammates on the pitch in pro clubs for a solid about a year and a half, and now teammates in the booth. But we are not rap battling on this occasion.
No, well, we could do if you wanted. I've got a bit of experience in that. And, it has been a journey. We've also been on a fair few podcasts together. In fact, I've been on your podcast.
You have.
And so that was a good one. You got a good few viral clips out of that, actually, didn't you?
And I'm on yours.
Yeah, well, it's not really mine. This is ours. This is the community's. Yeah, this is the community's. And we've also got with us Matt Foot Trading. Now, there was a podcast or a Twitch show yesterday with Foot Accountant and Foot Economist, and we've got Foot Trading. Do you guys ever think that you might just start like a company together?
Well, who knows? Yeah, there's a good few FUT traders on the FUTBIN books these days. So, no, it was really good to see Jamie back in sort of the content space. And we'll get into that throughout the pod. But pleasure to be here, guys. I know we shared some good times on the Pro Clubs pitch on the Prestige 26.
Yeah, some bad times as well.
some very bad
some
times.
Horrific times.
Some horrific times. But no, FC 26 is looking really good. So excited to talk through it with you guys.
And for those that don't know, Matt, what kind of led you to step away from content creation and saving 73 million packs per year into almost like a different style of content creation, I suppose, at FUTBIN?
Yeah, I think, I was doing content for a good sort of 3, 4, 5 years. Team of the Year pack project was my main thing, but then FUTBIN came knocking, and when they come knocking, you don't turn them down. So working more so behind the scenes these days on the FUTBIN team, sort of creating all the new features that people are using to manage their Ultimate Team clubs. And starting to get back into content a little bit more in the podcast space as well. So it's exciting times.
Lovely.
Tell you who else is knocking? FC 26, and they're knocking very, very hard. It feels almost a bit strange how honest, how open they're being with the information delivery on the new game coming up. I mean, before we get into sort of the real nitty-gritty details of it, Nep, what's your... Look, not to age you, but you've seen a lot of these reveals. You've seen a lot of these trailers. You've seen a lot of these detailed deep dives and whatever you want to call them. When you see the information and how they're actually delivering it and how brutally honest they're actually being, what's your take on this? It has to be a positive, no?
Like, to make a long story, like, genuinely really long, like, I've been working close with EA. I had not these last like maybe 10 years, but back in FIFA 11 and 12, I used to be like really like in with EA employees at a reasonably high level, especially at EA Sports, and they wouldn't get anything signed off from legal if it was even remotely negative in the kind of like global space, right? They would, from their main account or with a trailer like this, they would never ever speak like they have done this year. And as the years have gone on, that has been like kind of compounded. Like they refuse to take accountability. They'll say things like, "We're sorry you had a problem. We're sorry your experience was the issue. We'll try and look into it for you." And then when they fix it, they say, "We resolved your issue." Not, "Oh, we messed up. There was a problem." Like, they're really careful with like how they choose words. For them this year to be like, "Yeah, we hear the feedback. There's lots of problems. Like, we're isolating the problems. We've been spending hundreds of hours on these problems. We brought in like pro players, and they've got their like not little group, but their group of people for like the QA testing and stuff." Like, they have been so open, and they've put their hands up so high in the sky to say, "Hey, we're listening." That I am perplexed. Like, I genuinely can't believe the sort of position they're putting themselves into. And it's really interesting to see the community response to this, because for old heads that have been around for a lot of years, like yourselves and myself and a few of the older content creators, I think we recognize how big this is, like, and how important this is, the way they're talking. But for people that have only been in the community maybe for a couple of years, have seen the volumetric data and moving corner flags as their kind of like point of entry, they just see this as more mumbo jumbo. I don't think they realize and understand the gravity of how dangerous this is for EA, because if it goes wrong, I genuinely think it is the beginning of the end for the Ultimate Team franchise. But if it goes right, this could see Ultimate Team like flourish again and become even bigger.
It's the, for people to sort of like put it into perspective and really simplify it. It's the equivalent of, I don't know,
Do your McDonald's thing, go on.
Apple coming out and saying the last iPhone that we released wasn't very good, but everything that was bad on the last iPhone, we're fixing for this one, and it's gonna be the best phone you've ever had. Like, that's a really sort of simplified analogy of it. Should we get into some deep dive and some thoughts? I mean, as well for you, Matt. What did you think of the two trailers we've had so far? There's probably about 11 minutes worth of footage in there already.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was trying to think back to like all of the previous years that we've had, and it feels like every year we've had this like big new mode or big new addition. Like last year, obviously Rush. Year before that, Evolutions, women's football, and then all the years before that, Volta, the Journey, all these big things. And there's not really any of that this year, which is it's different for sure. So that will certainly take a bit of getting used to. But I think the community reaction has been really, really good, and that's quite refreshing to see. I think that we're getting a little bit less maybe on the sort of new shiny features. Going back to what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. There's three sort of pillars of conversation that we're going to sort of be jumping into. The EA have also come out and said these are three core elements of the game that we've really tried to improve this year. That's the competitive and gameplay separation. So there's two separate types of gameplay that you're going to feel in FC26. What are our thoughts on that? We'll bring it to you, and then also the potential that I'm going to say, especially from like my perspective as an esport, that could have if you can change one thing in the game, but it's not changing the entire game. I think that opens lots of doors. Gameplay fundamentals is the second pillar, in which it feels like the entire game has been overhauled, animations taken out, animations reduced in actual gameplay as well, which I think is pretty massive. Shooting, passing, dribbling, defending, goalkeeping, every single position on the pitch has had at least two or three pretty big changes, and we'll be breaking that down. And then also the feedback-inspired features and updates, and then our thoughts on just general EA listening to us and seeing how this is going. So let's jump into it. I'm going to try and share my screen. First time for everything. Let's have a look. Does it work? Yes, it does.
Go.
Nip, competitive and authentic gameplay. This is something that EA, in the first set of trailer and deep dive, they jumped into it, and then we got an even more extended version of it. It seems like the big thing that I know Matt was saying, we don't really get features. This is the feature this year. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think generally from an EA standpoint, I like the fact that they're not like I think Ultimate Team needs new game modes, and it needs something like it needs like a new core mode where everyone goes to, and maybe that'll be tournaments. Or Jamie yesterday with Nate spoke on something he called the Gauntlet, and we haven't seen anything about that. Even the leakers haven't leaked anything about that. So I think he was kind of like he was speaking on like it was like common knowledge of what it was, but I don't think we know what it is. But it does need a new game mode, but ultimately it needs to be a good game first before it needs the bells and whistles outside of it. And I think this is brilliant for just everybody that plays this game, and especially if you can put the authentic game mode in, like, let's say squad battles, because how fun will that be? But like, let's put some wacky weather conditions on. Let's go and play a squad battles game. Like, I don't know, you guys will absolutely remember this most likely, but back in like FIFA 11, when the ice was on the pitch, it was blinding. Like, but it was so fun because if you like punted the ball, it would just bounce like 40 yards out of play. And that, like, we play football, we play FIFA or FC because we love football. And so having the competitive aspect in that gameplay there is brilliant for people that want to play at that higher level and play in like a competitive setting and genuinely get good at the game. And one thing that was spoken about was like predictability. You know, if you make a tackle, you should get the ball. I think that's what makes the top esports so good, is that they are so predictable. So then it comes down to skill. But for people that actually want to play football and have fun, the authentic gameplay, I think, will go down incredibly well.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, I'm just scrolling to it now. It's like a dissertation trying to get through this. The big thing for me is for example, we've played this year. Travellas were super strong. If you can change things and update things on the competitive gameplay, but not touch the authentic gameplay, I think that pleases a lot of people. And I also think you can really start to sort of manufacture gameplay for everyone, which is just something we've not had before. I know there are a lot of career mode guys that when the winter refresh in FC25, when they updated the game, it killed career mode for a lot of people because it was just too quick. That AI, like, you could just run past people at ease, and it was like a real sort of an annoyance for people. If you don't know what the competitive gameplay is, it's locked to FUT clubs, online seasons, online friendlies. So you're probably not looking at squad battles.
That's brilliant.
And it's to create a more skill-driven competitive experience, reducing the impact of randomness and assisted. So all these things here, you can see them on the screen. AI goalkeeper directions, going away from danger, reducing rebound goals, fewer auto tackles, auto blocks. It feels like it's been built, this competitive gameplay mode, Matt, almost with pro players in mind.
Yeah, I think anyone that's a pro player, generally competitive in Ultimate Team, I think they'll notice this, hopefully, from sort of out the box, so to speak. So, you know, all of these are the key things that sort of we've certainly expressed that we would like to see changed in 26. So I think there's still a little bit of sort of community, waiting to see if this is actually ringing true. I think we'll know very, very quickly from those first sort of 1 or 2 games how different it feels. But yeah, it all looks very, very promising. There's all the key things that we've asked for. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I'm looking forward to actually getting on. I can't remember the last time I played career mode, but I'm looking forward to getting on and just seeing the differences for myself. How does it actually feel? And I think that will be sort of the big thing. Let's move on to another sort of very, very large talking point coming from this gameplay deep dive, and it was a core fundamental part of the game, time finishing. Completely taken away. It's divided opinion on. It seems like the community, firstly, and we'll get into that and share our opinions on it. But if you didn't know, time finishing in FC26 is not a thing. It's been taken out of the game and it's been replaced by the law-driven shot. So the shot that you do now in the game, where you just tap the circle button, that's been replaced by a double tap, as it was back in, I want to say FIFA 18. I think it was when it was the law-driven double tap. Nep, what are your thoughts on? Firstly, time finishing being taken out of the game. I'm going to give you the floor. Talk about, did it add a skill gap? Has it taken out a skill gap? What are your thoughts on it?
It did add a skill gap when it got first introduced. I think it was really powerful, like a really powerful tool when it came in. I can't remember exactly when it came in, but they checked, like, it was so powerful. You used to have to hit the second part of the shot to time it green within, I think it was 5 frames of the ball and the foot connecting, which doesn't sound like a lot. But actually, when you get the muscle memory down and when you're playing at like quite a high competitive level, 5 frames is like, there's a lot of room for error. So they changed it the year or the year after to 1 frame. But I think even then, you have like your average player in like Division 5 and Division 6 are really easily able to green time shots. And so as a skill gap, it kind of lost its edge and it gave a massive boost. So they introduced obviously precision shooting. I started using that last year. I know the pros only kind of really started using it this year, but precision shooting, it didn't feel like green timing shots gave an extra edge beyond the precision shooting. And so I actually turned it off a few weeks ago because I started red timing so many shots that I was missing like open goals and easy chances because I was like, making mistakes with the red times. And for a couple of weeks, I was like, this is bliss. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking next year I'm not going to put on green time and I'm going to have an edge. And then they went and removed it. And yeah, I think the people that are like upset with it. I feel like there's a real big divide in the older gamers and the newer like Ultimate Team users, and people that have joined Ultimate Team in the last few years that have only known time shooting. I think they're the people that are upset that it's going because people just hate change. But I don't think they realize that how largely irrelevant it is, especially if you put on precision shooting. And I do think it will increase the skill gap because you won't have these, quote unquote Timmies in Division 5 being able to ball roll Travella from 45 yards, hit it green, and your keeper have no chance. That is not a skill. That is just learning a technique that's broken. There's no skill in that, like inherently in terms of a football game. So I think it's a positive move, and I think like for those that remember the Heung-Min Son Player of the Month card, his low drivens, five-star weak foot, they were the best in the game, and I'm really looking forwards to a new skill coming in with finesse drivens, power shot low drivens, header low drivens, volley low drivens. I think this is going to open up multiple different ways to score in the game, which should allow for creative goals rather than the same monotonous gameplay we've got at the moment.
I saw a tweet, Matt, and it was from Ethan Higgins, who is a pro player. He finished at the Club World Cup a couple of years ago, second. He's runner-up in the Champions League, and it sort of went a little bit viral. He got a lot of replies to his tweet. It simply says, "No timed finishing in FC, less skill gap, more randomness, less consistency. It doesn't make sense." Does it make sense?
I think it's gonna be a positive change. I think it does make sense that, I think from EA's perspective, anything to reduce the green time Travella spam. You see it at all the big events, that sort of stuff going in. Is that what people want to see?
Is that the reason they've done it, do you think?
I think if you look at, play styles as well, making it so that you cannot any longer do a Travella unless you have the play style. I think there's probably quite a lot behind that. I think the one thing that I look at when I see this sort of new low-driven sort of mechanic is the last time we had it, there was no play styles involved. So everyone could sort of do these low-drivens to really high effect if they had the sort of the weak foot and the stats. How's that going to look with play styles now added on top? Is it going to be a case that there's no point trying a low-driven finesse unless you have finesse shot plus or low-driven plus or whatever? So I think that's going to be a really sort of interesting new thing to explore, is how much these play styles impact.
There was a part in the pitch notes that what I thought was phenomenal, and I think people have overlooked massively about attributes and play styles, where they're like, now it's going to be the attribute is the focus, with the play style as like the addendum rather than the play style being necessary to do even basic functions. And I think that's where people are going to actually start enjoying this game a lot more, is the fact that you don't have to have now tiki-taka to be able to pass, or you don't have to have low driven as a base playstyle to be able to score at all. And they're just going to enhance the skill set that you can perform. I'm really looking forward to that in the game, and I think that will be the turning point for a lot of people, because now you're going to be able to use your favorite players rather than use your favorite play styles, and I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think as well.
Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, Rich. I think as well, we'll get onto this as well, and the talk of the power curve. That was one thing that I think really accelerated it this year, is that it wasn't based on attributes, was it? It was, as soon as that second play style comes out, everyone's using those cards. Hopefully now we see a little bit more of a stat increase, then play style sort of been layered on top of that. So it should, hopefully, as we'll get on to, slow the power curve a little bit and increase the longevity.
I don't want to go too early, but I think with the playstyles as well, they're changing, and I think we're going to see this over the course of the next few years with playstyles. They're changing the core fundamentals, that a playstyle is a skill, like a skill set. Like the Enforcer, for example, it just allows you to play that way. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best playstyle in the game, but it adds a different element to the game, and I think that's going to be really interesting as we move further down. I think there's going to be less sort of generic playstyles like Quick Step, where you're just quicker, or and you can just speed boost away. I think playstyles like that will get taken out and they'll be replaced by more sort of unique, specific situational playstyles. I just want to jump on shooting, because there were another thing in the pitch notes that I thought was very interesting, and again, it's quite sort of open from EA, and it was this here about the shooting responsiveness. It's something that a lot of people complain about all the time. If you go in any sort of stream, you'll hear people saying, "I shot and it didn't shoot." They've enhanced the responsiveness, meaning that if you're close up to goal, you'll receive animations with minimal wind up. If you're from different angles, it will allow you to cover a broader range of angles. That was something that sort of, it's only a passing comment, but I think is huge, especially, and you're going to see it straight away in gameplay net.
Yeah, like obviously I'm not like the greatest of player. Like I'm sort of an 11 win FUT Champs player this year, maybe 10 if I'm like head loss, but one of the things that was insanely noticeable to me, actually, after I put precision shooting on, one of the things that was insanely noticeable was how much longer it took to perform a shot. And it wasn't actually a long time. It's like, 1/10 of a second. But again, when you've got that muscle memory down, and when you know what you expect and when you press the button, that's all it takes to completely destroy all of your good work leading up to the shot. And it was something like that they released a patch last year, and for FC25, they released a patch, and I am absolutely certain they changed something for shooting in the box, because I just couldn't shoot in the box anymore. And I'm like going insane on stream, and people are just telling me it's a skill issue and get good at the game and like just admit your opponent's better and all of this like rhetoric. And but I'm sitting there like internally thinking, like, I am like irate right now. I have got head loss because I'm losing the game or whatever, but I'm right. Like the shooting, like I press shoot and it's just not shooting. When they put in little things like this, it validates me. Do you know what? It makes me think, yeah, do you know what? I was bloody right. Like like this was a problem. And I don't think it's another one of those things where it's like, I don't think people thought it was a problem or like this isn't something people had an issue with. So for EA to kind of be like, oh yeah, hey, like there was this issue and we're fixing this. It's like, damn, you're taking responsibility for things people didn't even have a problem with. Like this is so good.
Yeah.
I want to do a little game in the middle of the podcast. There's 7 new types of shot here, with the low drivens. Let's get the crystal ball out. Rank these 1 to 7 in terms of what you think is going to be the best to worst. Matt, we'll start with you.
I think there's got to be one that jumps out, and it's low-driven finesse. To me, that just sounds like you get someone with a finesse plus. I'm thinking of like a little Hungman's son at the start of the game. That mechanic, it does sound like a combination of the 2 better ways of shooting from this year, at least. Yeah, I think that for me, and then maybe I actually really like the sound of the low-driven header.
I think that's going to be super strong. I think it's going to be really, really good. I also really like low-driven power shot. I think they're just going to fly in. Nep, what's taking the fancy?
Yeah, for me, it's a low-driven power shot, with precision shooting on. Like, I think, like, not last year, FIFA 23 and FC 24, I scored a lot of power shots from like 40 yards. It was something people weren't doing. I'd pop the ball up from like 40 yards and just slap it top bins. Like, it was just really good. And then this year, it got like introduced into competitive gameplay. I don't know why people didn't really use it last year with that like Fede Valverde and the pro events just slamming in power shots from all over the place. Now, can you imagine like dinking the ball edge of the box to someone and then just hitting a precision, low-driven power shot into the corner, just flying across the grass, like bottom, like it's just, I think that's going to be the most broken.
I'm not sure if that's filling me with confidence or not. I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. I want to talk to you a little bit about shielding the ball, because that feels like another like really, really big introduction, and we've seen play styles with Enforcer that are amplifying this as well. But even in the way that EA talk about shielding the ball, because it's something that I will almost never do in FC for a while now, where they talk about physicality, protecting the ball is keeping the ball is an essential part of football, and we agree that it's an area with lots of improvement. Again, saying that nobody uses it, like it's just not a useless mechanic, but it's not there in the game to be benefited from. They've completely reworked how shielding works, with the shield tap, the shield dribbling. We've actually got a little video here as well from the shield trap, sorry. So that is FC 25. You can see the ball comes in and the defender is always going to get in front of it. In FC 26, you can really nicely. I love that animation where you put a little bump into the defender and then you can spin out. Do you think this is going to be effective, Nep? It was in quite a lot of the trailer.
Yeah. I love things like this if they get it right, because having different ways to play the game, especially with different roles, different play styles, like evos and stuff, like imagine for you, Matt, like building your Charlton team, and I don't know if they've got like a 6'5" striker, but let's say you've got like some big chunky striker, and you're like, right, let me evo him and build and put like something like this on, so I can actually use hold up play. I really, really like it. And I can't remember what game it was. I think it was like 2015, maybe 2016. Shielding was so broken and so overpowered. I remember running around with like the 86 gold Yaya Toure, using him in the midfield. Like, you'd just shield someone. They would not be able to get the ball. You'd just spin in circles, like insanely fast as they're trying to get the ball off of you, holding the shield button. And it was the way that I was able to kind of like manipulate the game in that sense and like get an advantage. With what they've done here, Haaland this year at the start of the game cycle was broken because he had lengthy accelerate trait. You pop a hunter on him, he's mad fast. Like, that's why he was good. That's not why he should be good. He should be good because you can push the ball up to him. He can, fight off a couple of defenders, hold the ball up, and lay off a midfielder. So I'm really excited to see how the community can actually utilize the different mechanics to create different styles of play.
Yeah.
They always say, Matt, when new things get added into the game, it's typically the most OP thing in the new game. Do you see it being this way? It looks really strong. I mean, the entire thing with like the shield entries, where the different types of shoulder challenges that you can sort of hold players up now and bully defenders, really.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence a little bit about this, because I still want to see, exactly how much things like enforcer playstyle is going to make a difference. How reliant is that on body type? Are you going to be able to have a 5'6", little striker sort of bullying Van Dijk because they have enforcer? That's the sort of thing where you need to kind of see the trade-off a little bit. But just looking at those clips, I looked at like the FC25 one, and I was like, I would never play the ball to my striker there and attempt to hold it up. It would be into the striker and then first time pass out of it before the defender gets close. So I think it will be a little bit of a transition point for people to actually get used to that mechanic and think, right, I can now hold the ball up with my striker, wait for hopefully some of those new runs mechanics to come in. Different way to play. So I think, yeah, I'll still hold out judgment on how effective it will be until we sort of get the breakdown between play styles, body type, and how that interacts. But it's a new way to play based on those clips, which is always good.
Well, I also think it raises another topic of discussion as well, and that's with the women's players in the game. If they are going to be smaller, which 99% of them are, against especially attackers versus defenders, is the defender just going to be able to bully the attacker every single time? Like this year, the pace of the attacking players, especially in the early game, FC25, we saw Wilson, Rodman, there was the other one as was it Lavelle as well in sort of the cam area. There was a whole host of especially American women's players that were just dominant in that early part of the game where pace was so prevalent. I think if physicality is becoming a sort of a key component of the game and holding players off, they might end up getting left behind. I'm very interested to see how that all works and what the trade-off is.
I think you saw that actually a little bit this year already, didn't you? Like last year, the female fullbacks were dominant in the game, and long ball pass plus on a fullback was like almost, if you didn't have it, you was missing out. But this year, you started to see like the Teo Hernandez's and the kind of like 6'1", 6'2" male fullbacks with Bruiser being the status quo. And so I think we're already seeing that physicality kind of come into play and change a little bit. So it will be really interesting to see if the women just in general, like is it going to be a situation where like most of the top women just have that base enforcer play style just to kind of help them? Yeah.
On the flip side though, we've seen a lot of the new like dribbling mechanics sort of shown off, and that left stick dribbling now, probably with those smaller agile players, could be the sort of counter to that.
Yeah, players like Pateas, Bonmati, Lauren James, Ella Toon, Hemp, you're just going to be able to walk through players. We'll get on to dribbling right now, actually. It's a nice segue, Matt, because it seems, again, sort of taken our feedback on board and seemingly sort of I want to say, revitalized dribbling to an extent. I'm just trying to find it in the pitch notes. It's a serious scroll every single time. But what are your thoughts, Matt, on dribbling? Because it seemed very much like when we were watching the streamers as well with the gameplay producers, the vibe was, we know that dribbling has been bad this year. We are making it better.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And I think from, what we've heard from the guys over in Vancouver, that's something that I think people will feel a difference with straight away. And certainly on those clips, you look at 25 in comparison, and you just think, how the hell did we play all that this year? Because it is slow in comparison to what 26 is looking like. So, I'm a big sort of left stick dribbler at heart, not really utilizing as many of like the skill moves and speed boosts as much. So I think, yeah, it's going to be, at least on the face of it, it's a really nice change.
It's one of those things, again, just to interject there, Rich, it's one of those things, again, isn't it, that became too complicated for no reason. Like, you either had to LB dribble or RB technical dribble, or the one that they've removed, the L2R2 dribble. You had to do those to successfully dribble. And that's, it just doesn't make sense, the fact that doing something as simple as just walking with the ball became so complex that it just ruined the enjoyment of dribbling, and all of a sudden you have to learn 3 new mechanics just to be able to move the ball up the field.
I think it's this thing here that they've introduced, dynamic dribbling, which is going to be very interesting. That seems to be how they're, as they say in their own words, narrowing down and providing a more fluid dribbling experience, overall better control with and without the ball, and responsive improvement. These are all the things here. You can see it on the screen for you. Is there anything in the dribbling in particular, Nep, that you think that's going to be sort of really big? I think the big one for me was just the general agility that you can have when off the ball, like spinning.
Yeah, that was it for me as well. The fact that when you turn your stick, you turn your player, like that was all we needed to see. And I think you could actually see by some of the run animations in the gameplay trailer of like Mbappe darting in behind and stuff on a turn. I think you can see that they have heavily focused on dribbling in general and agility in general. And it's, I mean, look at that. Like you literally could not do that in FC 25. It would be impossible. And it again opens up the ability to create different styles of play. You can have your enforcer if you want to play that long ball up top and hold it off and bring people in. That's great. Or if you're a really techie player and you like to left stick dribble, if you got those good reactions and that good decision making, you're going to be able to take your kind of shorter, more agile players and just turn defenders like Van Dijk inside out, which you couldn't do this year, which is what made him so powerful. So it's another aspect of the game that here it looks great, right? But what we don't understand from what we're seeing here is what player stats are these guys? What play styles do they or don't they have? What chem styles do they or don't they have? Are they in their correct roles? Like the proof will be in when we get to that first weekend league of FC 26 and everyone's already figured out the kind of meta of dribbling, the meta of defending it, and to a degree. Is this going to be important, or are you just going to be able to put enforcer on a Van Dijk and he's just going to go and steamroll the guy and
bully people?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who this was. I think it's McAllister who's dribbling in this second clip from the bottom right corner. It's either McAllister or Mbappe, but I mean, it's quite a big difference, really, isn't it, in terms of which player it is. Agile dribbling being taken out of the game. Matt, are you? Is anyone disappointed with this?
Oh, I think it's a great change, to be honest. Remove the sort of barriers to dribbling. If you can just use your left stick, do it. I think that and some of the balancing they're making to the tackling. So if people are spamming tackles and you're good enough to dribble out of it, you're going to be rewarded for it now. So I think it's a really, really positive change.
This is the big one as well when we talked about sort of the agility and changing direction. This was FC 25 where you're sprinting from sort of movement to movement, and then how quick you can pivot and change direction. It's just going to be such an attacking game. We are in for a lot of goals, and once these mechanics do get mastered, I think it is going to be it's going to be very, very interesting. Accelerate types. We've gone from what felt like 25 different ones back to the core 3. Lengthy, controlled, and explosive. it feels like a good change. It felt a bit unnecessary to have all the ones in between. Nep.
Yeah, it like I love the concept of accelerate. I love the whole like a centre back. Let's take Van Dijk again as the example. When he gets going in real life, he's moving, but it takes him 15, 20 yards to get going, and that's really hard to replicate in a video game. The game's played at 10 times the pace in terms of time. Like it's really really hard to navigate that. So I feel for EA in that regard, and I appreciate like the whole lengthy situation is good. Like what they did this year, where they we had explosive, mostly explosive, controlled explosive, like all of the different types. What I thought, and I talked about this this time last year when this kind of information came about, adding in the more accelerate types. I think there should be different accelerate types for different positions on the field. Like I think Van Dijk should have the ability as a defender who's tall to be like lengthy, or have like a different accelerate type, so that over time he can keep up with Mbappe over like the 50-yard sprint. Maybe he can catch back up. So I think they kind of missed the mark with what they tried last year. I think they simplified it back again this year. I think we might see them try again to expand it again in FC 27 based on how this works again this year.
We've got a new formula as well for the lengthy and explosive mats. It feels a bit simpler.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know sort of from last year, certainly on the Evo front, the amount of times I would be sort of working out like the stat boost to try and make my striker controlled lengthy with Quick Step Plus or something, to get that speed boost. I like that it's a lot simpler. I think it's interesting as well how they've sort of made the split between male and female players now in terms of height. How's that going to impact? Maybe the attackers especially. 5'4" now is the maximum for a women player to be explosive. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think until we see it in action, until we actually see the database as well, because there's so many players that I can't remember if they're 5'5" or 5'4" or 5'6" or 5'7". So until we sort of see this coming through, I think we'll start to paint a better picture. And is it going to be better being big, bulky, lengthy enforcer, or nimble, quick, and agile? And I think the opportunity that we might have actually two metas, so to say, and two styles is really interesting, because we've never had that before. There's been one way of playing, and that's it. And I think what EA are trying to do is almost give us options, which we've never really had before, Nep.
Yeah. I mean, there's one time you'll be able to tell me a bit more, Rich, maybe, but I think it was before you as an esports commentator. But MS Dasari won a tournament several years ago, and his playstyle was different to everybody else's. He passed the ball. He was in a 4-4-2 flat, and he just passed a lot. And I just copied it. I was like, right, let me build a 4-4-2 flat. Let me try passing. And I got one of my best champs finishes back then. So if champs was there, it must have been at least earliest FIFA 17. Okay, yeah. And it was the first time I think we've ever seen a place like a switch in how everybody played, because after that all you saw was 4-4-2s and people passing the ball and recycling the ball, and that actually led then into the way that the game is played now, which is a hell of a lot of recycling, looking for the broken shot animation or the kind of like triggered run for a first time or double tapped through ball through. But yeah, you're absolutely right in the sense of like there is like one good way to play this game. There is one best way, and the problem isn't that there's one best way, because there will always be one best way. The problem is that the next best way is so far down the pecking order that you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage to do it. And if they can balance everything correctly, it doesn't even have to be perfectly, but just better, and it can enable people to try different styles of play and succeed with them, I think we could be in for a brilliant year of like, no longer doing like a best tactics video, but instead doing a best players for my playstyle video. Let's try and play tiki taka, or let's try and play with the bruisers and the enforcers. Let's try and play with, a lengthy women's team and see how that gets on. Like it could be really fun for content for the year.
Well, part of what's going to make the meta is playstyles, as always. And we've got playstyles being taken out of the game. and new player styles added. This was the thing you were talking about with player attributes versus player styles, Nep. Do you want to, now people can actually see the deep dive as well, sort of break down that a little bit more? Like, what were your reaction to this? Because I think there was a lot of positivity, but it snuck under the carpet for a lot of people who didn't read this far down.
Yeah, so I'll read the line that like got me excited first. It says our goal is to make high-rated players play akin to their real-life ability, making attributes more impactful and play styles feel like an addition, not a requirement. And I tell you why that's important for me personally. And again, it might be the way I play. Maybe you guys can confirm or deny whether you feel like the same. I took team of the season Ronaldo out of my team because he doesn't have first touch at all. And the amount of times I fired a pass into him, this is team of the season Ronaldo, and the ball just bounced off of him and I lost possession, was infuriating. So I took him out of my team. I put a first touch plus striker up front, and I honestly started scoring like double the amount of goals every game. It was insane. And that Ronaldo has got 99 ball control. He shouldn't be misplacing or miscontrolling like simple passes into his feet because he didn't have first touch as a base play style. What should happen is 99 ball control, it should stick to him really nicely. 99 ball control with first touch, it should stick to him like glue. And 99 ball control with first touch plus, it should be like, you saw that clip where the ball, or I think Bugs did it last year in Champs, where you could like get the ball stuck to their calf. That's like first touch plus should be something like that. Do you know what I mean? Where you just fire it into them and it dead stops at their foot. Like that's what it should be. You shouldn't have to have base or playstyle pluses to literally do the core fundamentals. And the fact now that they've changed this here to the point where attributes are the key part of how a player is going to play, I just think it is going to reintroduce an insane amount of players back into the player pool of usable items in the game.
Yeah, this for me is part of the big one as well. The amount of times that you'd get a player and you'd say, I really like them, but they don't have tiki-taka. They don't have whatever it might be, Matt. Base mechanics, first-time passes, jockey, ball control, be more consistent for high attribute players, play style or not. Again, just harping on the back of what Nep was saying there, Matt. That's massive because that it reintroduces so many players.
Absolutely, it's huge. And, for me as someone, I'm a Charlton fan. I run my Charlton Evos. It's really difficult to, as you sort of evolve players, to get those stats and have all the play styles to go with them. Like I've got a striker with 71 passing. I could not use him until I got Tiki Taka Plus on him. So, it'll be really, really nice to see sort of the trade-off next year. How different is an 80 passing player with Tiki Taka Plus compared to a 95 passing player without Tiki Taka Plus? Well, where's the sort of the crossover point going to be there of attributes mattering versus needing the play style?
That was one thing I was going to ask you as well, because there's a lot of times where, especially on midfield players, they might have 65, 70 defending, but if you put Anticipate Plus on them through an Evo, it feels like they've got 99 defending. Do you think that if you've got the Playstyle Plus, but you've got a low stat, it will feel like the Playstyle Plus is worse? Or do we still see, if you can maneuver an Evo, because by EA's release, they're not going to release a finesse shot plus player with 70 finishing. That feels like it's not in line with what they're trying to do. But if you can manufacture an Evo where you have, like I said, Valverde as a centre mid and you can put Anticipate Plus on him, but his defending is actually quite low, will that make his defending worse, or will the playstyle still rule on top? I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think we briefly mentioned sort of like the power curve talk that Jamie had on Nate's stream, and I think we might see a situation where playstyles and certainly Playstyle Plus are used a lot more sparingly. So we actually, for that first sort of month or two of the game, we do just rely more on the stat upgrades to sort of set that base. And then, as Net mentioned, that Playstyle Plus sort of taking them to the next level, being introduced maybe a little bit later on. So I'm hoping it's more of a stat reliance, because we saw it this year. Stats really didn't matter. A lot of promo cards became completely sort of useless because people would just go straight to that playstyle section and see if they have first touch or ticky or finesse. So hopefully it's more reliant on those stats now.
Could you see Nep at launch there being 15, 20 players maximum with playstyle pluses? Do you think they're
Yeah.
going to be really sparingly on those playstyle pluses at the start of the game?
Yeah, I hope so. I'd like to think it's like maybe even just the top 10 players should have a playstyle plus, you know, like really prolong this power curve, really like long it out. And on the note of like attributes mattering as well, it's actually been talked about a fair bit on X I was seeing yesterday. Is it time to either remove or dramatically reduce chem styles? You know, getting like a +8 pace boost and a +12 defending boost day one on a Van Dijk, all of a sudden you're actually completely like, you know, you're making that pool of players like a lot smaller again for who's usable and who's not. And so like they haven't said anything about it, so maybe that is something that is coming. But yeah, playstyles playstyles are just weird, aren't they? Like it's made the game fun in certain aspects, but it has certainly created a meta. And the way that they've done it now, I think if they are an addition rather than a necessity, I think you can really start to develop players through evolutions that you can enjoy, but also you can start to use promo players that aren't necessarily the pop culture players and actually get something out of them. Like, it was fascinating for me to see the Team 2 of footies come out, William Saliba 97 in there, me as an Arsenal fan being like, this is insane, and his playstyles are awful, and I'm like, he's unusable, and he's like 50k. His team of the year was like 4 million coins for a month, you know, because of how strong that was. And now it's like nobody wants this card because that Berbatov and Yap Stam just destroy.
I think this will make every single promo item that has a stat increase better. And I think it completely rejuvenates the market as well, because those 86, 87 rated Ultimate Scream items that come out that might not have had a playstyle plus, or maybe one playstyle plus in October, early November. Now, if they've got a 199 rated stat, they could be the best players on the game, even if they don't have playstyle pluses. Let's jump into playstyles in more detail here, because there is 4 playstyles that have been removed from the game. RIP to Aerial. Thank you, my lord and saviour EA. We've got rid of Power Header, we've got rid of Aerial, we've got rid of Travella and Flare. Aerial, it feels like, from what we're seeing here with the playstyles, has pretty much completely gone in the attacking sense, which is very good. I'll read the description for Aerial Fortress in a second. Power Header has been redefined into Precision Header, and Travella and Flare have come into Game Changer and Inventive, and the brand new playstyle that we've spoken about already is Enforcer. Aerial Fortress, it looks like Aerial, but it is only in defensive scenarios, which is the big thing. There's going to be no more, especially if you play pro clubs, 6'4" left and right mids who are just flicking the ball on. There's going to be no reason to have 6'7" strikers like huddling at the back post, nodding down headers. Like, this feels, out of everything we've seen, this could be like the biggest gameplay change. Like, the goalkeepers coming outfield that have got Aerial plus, Petr Cech dominated in 2023, FIFA 23. There should be no reason that Aerial strikers, big strikers, especially in the heading sense of the game, will be meta, because Aerial's gone, and this new playstyle, it's only in defensive scenarios. Am I getting too excited, Nep, or is this on the money?
I think you have every right to get excited, but I think maybe for the wrong reasons. I think a couple of the playstyle changes have been to fix things that they either don't know how to, can't, or break something else with when they try to fix it. Like for Travella, for example, it's like blows my mind that they didn't nerf them this game cycle because they're so strong. And the fact that now the way that they've nerfed them is by completely removing the ability to do them unless you have the playstyle plus for it or the playstyle for it, says to me that they didn't know how to fix it, or when they fixed it, it broke something else to the point where it was more broken than what Travellas currently are. I get that same feeling with the Enforcer playstyle. I get the feeling they didn't know how to fix the corner techniques and that kind of like overpowered kind of like bicycle kick and aerial ability offensively. And so the way to do it is to remove the ability for attackers to have that edge, give it to the defenders, and it just fixes the problem without actually fixing the problem. So I do think that it's a good change, but it's like I want to be able to use a Chris Wood or Erling Haaland style player, bomb down the wing, whip it into them, and think that I've got a chance to score a goal. But if everyone's just going to have
You're
VVD,
never going to win it if you've got this aerial fortress.
Yeah, exactly. If everyone's just running VVD with aerial fortress, just removes an ability. It removes one of the ways you can play the game.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I just look at this and think, well, how are we scoring corners now? Then, I know people, in the last sort of year or so, they've sort of viewed corners as that sort of OP meta. We've seen people, at the top level actually, playing for corners so they can, abuse a bicycle kick, as you say, Nep. So, but what is the sort of new way to score corners then? Are we just going to see everyone playing it short these days and, trying to left stick dribble or hit a power shot from outside the box? So, yeah, there's still a little bit.
We do have precision header, which is redefined from and sort of the power header play style. It says here it's got more focus on aerial battles and heading accuracy. I want to see this in person. I want to see how this actually operates, what comes out on top between a precision header and an aerial fortress, because this could be the way in which we do score headers. It performs headers with greatly increased accuracy and power. However, it does say here, which is something interesting, rather than just raw power towards the goal, it specialises in controlled, accurate headers. If you can then combine that with a low-driven header, could we be looking at the go-to way to score? I don't know. There's so much in this where it feels as though we just have to play the game and we have to see how it actually works, Nep, because reading it feels it's almost too much.
Yeah, it is a lot. There's a lot. It's overwhelming. Do you remember the what year was it? I want to say like FIFA 21 or 22, where you could score headers from like the edge of the box. I vividly remember like people scoring with like Ronaldo, just you cross it way early and he just like bangs a header from the edge of the box. I reckon like I don't think we're necessarily going to see that. We might, but I like the fact that heading can come back into play. One of my greatest games of abusing a mechanic was FIFA 19 with the El Tornado back post crosses. And then, it was I found it great fun. I know it was a lot of people didn't. Certain metas really take people in a positive way, and certain metas take people in a negative way. I thoroughly enjoyed the crossing aspect because the battle wasn't against the low block, deep, tight AI backline. The battle was a 1v1 down the wing. If I can get past you, if I can beat you here, I've got a chance to score a goal. And I think that's why I liked it. So I really hope heading comes back in some form or another, and crossing as well. Crossing coming back would be really good.
A new play style. We talked about inventive with the flare and trivela, where you can only do trivelas if you have one of these two play styles. This play style is very, very exciting for me as someone who I like scoring nice goals and different types of goals. Game changer. We're not talking FIFA Street. Game breaker, sorry, isn't it? A game changer is maybe that's why they changed the creator network.
Yeah.
From game changers. It's a player who's known for extraordinary and unconventional finishes, combining and refining the former flare and trivela play styles. And you can basically just do fancy and trivela shots performed with greater improved accuracy. Is this going to be one of those play styles where, a bit like Flair, where you felt as though I think you were one of the big people for this net, where if you had Flair, your finesse shots felt better.
Yeah, they were.
Could this be one of those where game changer just I don't see this line throws me off. A player is known for extraordinary and unconventional finishes. Who are they giving this to?
Yeah, well, so that's what I was going to go with. Actually, I think this might be the scarcest playstyle and playstyle plus that we see, especially for the first few months of the game, because who is going to get it? Lamine Yamal, maybe Lionel Messi, and we're talking base. Maybe Lamine probably deserves it as Lamine would deserve the passing one as a playstyle plus. I don't think there's a single player on the game that deserves the shooting one.
trying to think, like
Yeah.
maybe an icon here or there, maybe.
Yeah, potentially, but I don't think there's an actual player that we can see have the shooting version of this, especially as a playstyle plus, at all. Like it, I think we will not see this very often, and I also do think that will be on purpose. I think what we'll see is the first few weeks and month of the game, EA will kind of monitor how people are using and abusing Trivelas, and if they're not super broken and super overpowered, maybe we'll see this playstyle come in a little bit more.
Do you think this is Zlatan? Is this a
Maybe.
Zlatan playstyle?
Yeah,
Zlatan, Charisma, rumours as well.
Charisma
Yeah.
Charisma would be great for that.
What do you think, Matt? Is this going to be a playstyle that we get to play first with on pro clubs more than likely?
I think so. I think you'll see that one guy that we all hate in our pro clubs team that will be spamming them from 30 yards out still. But yeah, I'm wondering, time finishing removal with sort of Trivela being a playstyle, is it going to completely remove it, or is it going to be that right as soon as you have this, it's still going to be sort of resorting back to same old? I'm hoping, as we say, it's going to be a very scarce playstyle at the start of the game. So yeah, only reserved for those top end players. Hopefully not included in too many evos at the start. But yeah, I think it's great that, I don't know if it's great, but it's good that they're changing it so that you can only do these now with the playstyle. It's we're going to remove the whole 60 shooting, but as long as you have Trivela, spam it goes in, so that's always positive.
While we are actually just talking about Trivelas, that was the final playstyle there as well with Enforcer. I'll show you very quickly Enforcer in use with the playstyle. So that's without the Enforcer playstyle, the defender just bullies him off the ball. With the Enforcer playstyle, he just shrugs him off like he's not even there. I'm looking forward to seeing how it actually operates in game and who gets it as well, because it could be Chris Wood, maybe Haaland, but I think it is going to be quite limited on those. When we're talking about Trivelas, I don't know if you caught it, there was obviously a lot of the gameplay producers yesterday in with a lot of the streamers, and there was one particular stream that I caught. It was Ryan Pessoa, used to be a former pro player. I work with him on the broadcast now, and he's not been to a lot. I think this was the first ever time he's been invited out, so he's not particularly he don't really hold his tongue, so he's got the gameplay producer next to him, and he just went, and he's got the chat open, and someone in the chat were like, what we're doing with Trivelas, like Trivelas are OP, and he went, yeah, like Trivelas was stupid, like I could run up with a goalkeeper and score a Trivela if I green timed it, like why was that so broken? And the gameplay producer was sort of chatting to him, and he was like, look, we have adjusted Trivelas, so we also noticed that the goalkeeper wasn't moving correctly, and we've also moved the goalkeeper. Now will take an extra 2 steps to his right if he sees the Trivela animation coming in. And I think it's those little things that aren't in the notes, for example, that we're getting more now, which is just so insightful. We've referred to it a couple of times, Nip, the Foot Accountant and Jamie stream yesterday. What did you make of that? Because it was pretty amazing, to be honest, I've got to say.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I will just go back to when Tom Kalefi was on a podcast. Was you on with Tom Kalefi?
Wasn't,
Josh?
No.
And Tom spoke on the fact that sometimes, and this is the goalkeeper situation with Trivelas, they could, if they spotted a problem with where the goalkeeper's standing with Trivelas, and so they changed the kind of initial starting spot of a goalkeeper in those scenarios, what they found is it created a whole host of other problems. And it's one of those things, and it will lead into kind of Jamie and Nate talking together. It's one of those things where it's just just tell us that then. Just say it. Do you know what I mean? Just use your communications X account. Tell us that you're looking into Trivelas, but this is what happens now, and what you've shown there in those video clips, and this is what happens if we change it. Just tell us that. And it was fascinating to see kind of Jamie talk about his experience as a game player rather than as somebody who works at EA. Because if he's, like he said, he gets 11 wins regularly, he's got 13 wins 1 or 2 times. That means he knows, man. He's played these people that are sitting there abusing all of these game mechanics. You think he's sitting there playing his games, getting dicked on by some guy who's spamming 40-yard Trivelas, going, "This is brilliant. This is exactly what." He's sitting there going to the gameplay team, going, "Guys, what the
have to
hell, man?
fix this.
Yeah, like this is a big problem. And I think it was nice to just really see the realness of somebody who works there that also plays the game, that feels our problems, appreciates what we're going through, and is like genuine. Like he was giddy talking about some of the things, man, and that's great to see. I think, like I said right at the start of this podcast, I think it's really understated how powerful what EA are doing this time around is. And I think people that are kind of like still leaning on that hate train towards EA of like, oh, they do this every year or whatever. It's like you haven't been around long enough to know how impactful what they're doing is now. Give them this grace period. Give them a chance now, because it seems like they truly want to make a change for us. And if we're there getting down their throats, they're like damned if they do, damned if they don't, right? If they don't change anything, people are giving them grief. And if they try and change anything, people are giving them grief. Like, let's get behind them. Let's try and create like the best game that we can by being positive about the changes. And if there's something wrong when the game does come out, instead of just being like, we knew it, like dead game, be like, give them feedback. You know, Jamie spoke a lot about how the feedback portal is something they actually use. Who would have known? Literally, who would have known? It feels like it falls on deaf ears, you know? So, yeah, I thought that podcast was brilliant. I've watched it twice just in case there was like a few like things that I missed out on, and a few like, you know, maybe like Easter eggs in there. I don't think there was, other than the gauntlet. But yeah, I love stuff like that. They should do that more. They really should do that more.
Matt, it's the one thing that sort of come out more than anything from that discussion was talking about the power curve and slowing down the power curve at the start of the game, making gold items better, slight changes as well in rewards to make sure that the power curve is more manageable. Firstly, do you feel as though it had to be addressed in terms of a power curve? Because it felt like it was getting out of control, especially this year and last year. And what are your thoughts on that, with gold items having longer longevity at the start of the game, and even rewards being tailored so they'll get better as the game cycle prolongs?
Yeah, I think what's really important is I think I saw this a little bit in Nate's chat yesterday when Jamie said that they're going to be scaling back rewards, and everyone was like, no, 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 this is not what we want. I think people need to understand it's going to be so needed, because what we've had this year, I don't know if sort of you guys are doing this as well, but like everyone runs untradeable teams because they are scared to have any player with value in their team, because 2 weeks later there's someone better. We can't have that for the longevity of the game. You imagine it as a new player sort of picking up Ultimate Team, maybe spend a little bit of money on FC points, you get a team, you buy a team, 2 weeks later it's 20% of the value that you bought it for. All that does is turn people away. So if we can make it so that, yeah, you might be using your gold players for an extra month or two, but they'll be holding value a lot longer as well. So I think all in all, I think it's a really, really positive change. They needed to do something to improve the market, and I think this will hopefully do that.
Other than the rewards being changed, Nep, how do they do this? Do you see them, I don't know if it was said anywhere, less promos?
Yeah, I don't know where that came, because that apparently was in Jamie's and Nate's stream, but they touched on it like maybe you could read between the lines with some stuff, but it seemed like the leakers have talked on less promos and whatnot. And I think less promos is a great idea. Like like people talk about the way the game used to be, and they loved when the gold cards were still usable, you know, come like May, June, July. Yet now EA are kind of talking about things and speaking on ways to make that a reality again. And people are like, wait, what? What do you mean? Like, we want rewards. And it's like, people are just so addicted to the dopamine rush of hitting that shiny card. That's what like they need. That's what EA kind of like need to kind of get, is actually the way to kind of make people feel rewarded, even if the rewards are lower. But I think less promos would be insane. Like they've got so many like components to this game, with squad battles, the friendlies, the tournaments that come in, the gauntlet, champs, challengers, rivals, rush, like SBCs and Evos, that you don't need to pack everything always into 1 week of a promo, then do the same thing again the next week. You can have like that first week where it's like a promo team, maybe a little bit of SBC Evo stuff, but then week 2 is like the SBCs for the promo now. So you've got your week to build up, you know, try these new players, a week to build up your kind of fodder base. to get an SBC, and then week 3 maybe lean a little bit more into like evos for the promo, and like they can even like not even for the promo but just in general, and let the promo kind of like breathe, so that you can be like, right, let me try these cards, right? We've got a brand new team, let me go through and try them, rather than we've got a brand new team, if I can't pack the top one, then I don't give a crap about anything in this promo, you know. So yeah, it should be good.
I think it's going to be a big change as well. I think people need to have that bit of mentality shift of how we play Ultimate Team, because I think Jamie touched on it really well. Is that it's a bit of a monotonous sort of weekly grind. Like, yeah, you play your rivals. Oh, you wait till Friday, you get your champs done, you open your packs, maybe do some menu grind, and that's that. You know, even on a daily basis, check SBCs, check objectives, check evolutions. If there's not something you like, people, you know, it's the age-old meme: log in 6 o'clock, log off 6:01. I think people have got to open up to the fact that, yeah, we might not be getting, and I think Jamie actually tweeted, they want to slow down things proportionally across the board. He mentioned things including places where you can spend money, such as store offers, paid evos, and the premium pass. So it might be a case of less is more, and people need to engage more with the live events, the gauntlet stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that the community can embrace that a little bit, not just feel the need to run one big team. They've said in there with the live events, you know, there might be these sort of requirements to sort of team building, and that maybe you need to have more league-based teams versus, you know, one super meta team. So I think it might take some getting used to, and I'm hoping the community can embrace that a bit.
We could be here all day if we go through every single part of the deep dive, but there's one more sort of section that I want to really focus on, and it's the new player roles that are coming in for FC26, because I think they are pretty interesting, being completely honest. I think 2 of them are, I don't want to say useless, but relatively useless. And I think 2 of them are going to be pretty fascinating to see how they actually work in game. The 4 new roles that are coming in: wide back. It's a central defender who opens up wide to cover for the fullbacks. Ideally part of a back 3. The wide back can occupy the fullback position if they are not present in the formation or they go up for attack. I don't know why I would ever use this personally. I've not used the back 3 since 2015 potentially. It's not for me personally, but if you are going to use it, good luck to you. This one is it could be good, I think, if used correctly. Inverted wingback. It's a modern attacking fullback that gets forward and adapts a central position high up the pitch when their team has the ball. Depending on the focus, can play as a playmaker or a shadow striker.
That's got Hakimi and Nuno Mendes written all over it, isn't it? That is PSG style of play right there, isn't it?
Shadow striker? Like, we are just abandoning all hope. I mean, that works if you then put the wide back, you get your centre back to go and cover full back, potentially. I don't know. Box crasher, this is Frank Lampard, really, if you want to put a player to it. A DM who gets forward to join the attack, making runs into the box if the opportunity arises. However, they are slow to return to their defensive duties. It's not focused on defence like other CDM roles, so they don't consider defensive actions as a priority. The last one is ball-playing keeper, where they will push up and play on the line of the defence and give you an option. 1 to 4, Nep. What are we most excited for to least excited on the 4 new roles?
Yeah, I think wide back is quite possibly the most exciting thing. I think it can be. No, sorry, the inverted wing back, I beg your pardon, is the most exciting thing. I'm with you. I think wide back is probably absolute rock bottom of anything that I would ever use. Box crash is interesting, but looks like there'd be a bit of jeopardy to have that role. Like if your DM is up there and then you lose, turnover possession, you're basically screwed. But I just fear with ball playing keeper that it will enable people to pass around the back when holding a 1-0 lead a lot easier than they already can. If you add like that extra player in it, obviously if you lose the ball, again, the jeopardy is your goalkeeper's 10 yards out of his box and you've got an easy goal. But sometimes now it's really hard to get, do you ever get those games where somebody's passed around the back and you're playing, like you're putting team press on, like you're going as aggressive as you can and your players are still just standing around and you're like, guys, just go. now add another player in the defensive setup. Yeah, it could be abused, but I don't see the need for ball playing keeper. If I'm being honest, I know it's like you've got players like Manuel Neuer, Alisson, David Raya that like really are ball playing keepers, but yeah, I think in a competitive FC sense, I don't think it's necessary.
What's the difference between ball playing keeper and sweeper keeper that we've already got?
I think sweeper keeper is like somebody that comes out when the ball comes
Whereas ball
towards
playing
them.
keeper, you're literally like, he's going to be stood next to the centre back.
Yeah,
Probably
stood
more
with
in
the
possession,
yeah.
Interesting. I'm interested to see how Box Crusher works because right now, while I've been playing FC26, probably since March time, I've been using the 4-2-3-1 with both DMs on D-line playmaker build up, and they're like right up when I'm recycling the ball, they're almost on the edge of the box. That could be good to see if one of those DMs then, for example, if you've got a DM that can actually shoot and get into the box, like a Yaya Toure or Frank Lampard, if they can actually get in there and make that extra run. We saw it in the first trailer that they dropped where he played onto the edge of the box, made the run, and then first time over the top free balled it. I think there could be some nice runs from the DMs, but there's nothing that's going to, I think, blow the socks off Matt, really, with the new roles. There's also a lot of new focuses as well. I think they said there's 10 new focuses.
That's the one that I was sort of looking at. I was a little bit keen on how it plays, is that sort of versatile focus with that ability to be more flexible, less restrictive. Are you going to see some more interesting runs potentially, on on those sort of poacher versatile? I think that could open up a bit more possibilities. That coupled with the new attacking runs that EA are referring to could be interesting.
It seems, Nep, just from the roles that they've introduced and the focuses here, they're trying to make three backs more sort of used and a bit more meta. You can see this line here where they've specifically sort of pointed out, this is good for three backs. Use this if you're using a three back. The wide back, whatever it was called, I've even forgot the name of it. Yeah, the wide back new role as well. Ideal for a back three. Is it going to be worth just trying a back three, seeing how it operates?
Yeah, I think so. And again, it's like just trying to bring everything else up into play, isn't it? And it's nice that they're focusing on things like that. They've obviously got the data at HQ where they see, especially at like a top end competitive level, everybody uses either the 4-2-1-3 or some there's about 3 formations that are usable right now. The 4-2-2 is okay as well, but trying to allow for more formations, more fluidity within the formations, it will introduce new play types, new play styles. Like I think the biggest problem that we've had in terms of actually trying to experiment is what Jamie was talking about in the podcast, is like all you've got is champs and rivals, really, right? It's so intense, it's so competitive. Who's going to try something new in those games? And something that I wonder if this changes next year based on what we've seen in friendlies this year. But friendlies, when they're 3-minute halves and 4-minute halves, they're so nice, man. Whether you win or lose, because you're in and out in 5 minutes, right? I would love it if they reduced the half limit of champs and rivals gameplay down to 4 minutes, but even 5 minutes would be phenomenal. Just like if you can get more games in, you can test more. Like you know what I mean? You can trial, you can experiment more with what is on offer rather than sitting there thinking, well, goddamn, I've got 35 points to get. It's like I need 12 wins coming up or whatever. It's all of a sudden it's like an intense situation where you're not looking forward to even playing in the first place, let alone experimenting and trialing, where you're going to get stuck in like a setup where you have to play like 25 games to get half your points. So I'd like to hope that we can get some lower match times to allow to be able to experiment with all of the new features that they're putting in.
Before we jump on to the final segment and talk about the pre-order bonuses, what we're expecting potentially from the season pass, our hopes and aspirations for gameplay in FC26 and how excited we are. There's one, it's the final line of the pitch notes, and as a player who often complains at the referee and the liner, the fact that they've put last to our rule systems have received some further improvements to ensure fairness across the pitch with the following changes. Offside calls, remade the offside logic to improve the accuracy of calls. So everyone, whenever you go, I were onside there. I've instant replayed it. I'm onside.
Oh yes.
You will now be onside, or you'll be offside. It's the biggest change in the patch.
It's a good one. I don't know. I'd be really interested to see what they've actually done for offside calls per se. I think it's just where they take the offside calls from, because it's the center of the body where they like pitch the lines, like, you know, even though we don't see them. And obviously, if your center of the body is, you know, you could be onside and the game could register it as offside very easily. So if they actually make proper offside calls, that'd be quite fun.
You see it on
I know there's
clubs as well a lot, Matt.
Yeah, that was literally what I was about to say. Our club strikers are going to be loving that, because the amount of abuse they've got for being offside constantly.
You also see it on clubs a lot where a team will be playing literally on the halfway line defensively. Your offside might be like here, and you might be a tiny bit offside, and then the free kick will be in the opposition half.
Yeah.
So anything to improve that, I'm all on for. As we sort of wrap up, pre-order bonuses, icon heroes. There's been a lot of leaks about who we're expecting and what we are sort of anticipating when it comes to the icon heroes. It feels like a pretty hefty pre-order bonus, Nep, that they've offered to us this year.
Yeah, especially given the fact that they're talking about reducing rewards across the board, and then they're like, day one, here's an icon.
Go for it.
An icon, 6,000 FIFA points, a premium pass straight away. Like, you know, like that, like, you know, it doesn't really make sense. And maybe it will make sense maybe in FC27 when people are like, oh, damn, like rewards were way lower. This pre-order bonus is significant. It's worth pre-ordering for. But having that second Evo slot, I think, for the pre-order bonus is what the sole if nothing else was there apart from that, I would still pre-order it because of that.
Matt, who are you going to get as your icon? Who do you reckon?
Oh, I mean, Zlatan's calling me, but unfortunately, there's no new Charlton past and present icons. There's not a lot.
Do you get to put Charlton in your team just because?
Well, that's the thing. I did pack Bobby, so yeah, it's a tenuous link. I'll be honest. You know, so we have to do it. But no, I think 6,000 points, but spread across a few months. That's quite a big one. People might have to get used to. So I think that's. I mean, it speaks volumes about EA trying to prolong the cycle, at least over the first 2 months. We've got maybe some points in November.
Did they say how that was going to be distributed?
I think they said across the first over 2 months.
So it might be 500 points a week for 8 weeks, or
yeah, something like that.
12 weeks.
I think they mentioned it was 2,000 points on launch, and then at the end of the following months, 3 sets of 2K. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be might be every season pass. That gives you enough points to buy the season pass each.
I think that's roughly what you would expect. Yeah, every 4 to 6 weeks. But yeah, I think it's positive. I think market initially, you know, might be a little bit more affordable if you're effectively halving the amount of points that people are spending day one. Of course, people can still go and spend on top of that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that does maybe curb some of the top end gold items, heroes, icons at the start.
I think for me, FC26, the biggest change that is coming in, taking out time finishing, it's a core fundamental part of the game. Like, my entire game is basically built on. I didn't use precision because I could green unassisted, and it was better for me than using precision. So I think there's a lot of players out there that will almost feel like a new game, and really, really excited to get hands on and play this upcoming title, because it really, really feels like a fresh game. It feels like a fresh start, and I'm very, very excited, Nep, to see how it goes.
Yeah, it's you and me both, man. And I do get caught up in the hype train every year. I can't lie. It's as soon as I see like these first pieces of information come out, and we're going to have like the Ultimate Team information like early August, so I understand. It just gets me to the point where, like, last week I was grinding FC25 so intensely still. I got 2 games of Champions this weekend after all this FC26 news came out, because I was like, why am I playing this anymore? Like, look at what's coming. I'm really, really ready for it. And I can't like lie. Like, one of the most positive things is the fact that people like Stokes and some of the pros that have been out there have just got all positive things to say about it. And it's like, either, you know, then this is where the kind of like community comes in with the whole, oh, they're just shilling, you know, whatever. But I think like Stokes has got he's like one of the most prominent voices in the community now. Like people respect his opinion like greatly. So for him to speak positively on it, I think goes really far.
There's no reason for Stokes to lie. Like for him, like if he felt as though something wasn't good, if he I don't know if he even played early, but if say he saw what was coming up and they said to him, yeah, we need your opinion. We're thinking about removing time finishing. What do you think? And he gives his opinion. He's got no reason to like do anything that would not benefit the positive of the game. Like he's a
Yeah.
streamer, he's a content creator, he's a pro player. He ticks all the boxes of the community almost. So I think putting not necessarily our faith, but like the community's trust and opinion in people like that, I think is it goes a long way, Matt.
I think that's a really key point. You know, I think, you know, in years past, it's been a very sort of EA behind closed doors. They are like the puppet masters, sort of making all the decisions. You've got sort of big sort of community figureheads now that can sort of, you know, Jamie's a great example actually of someone that's come from the community, is listening and adapting sort of everything from a content perspective. You now got people like Stokes in these sort of design forums and that, but also they're giving the community a voice through all these different feedback portals. You know, how many times have we heard that sort of, you know, put in, you know, full focus, you know, leave your feedback in their new Discord server, you know, all these different avenues. So I think it's a little bit on us as well, the community, to make the most of those opportunities, give, you know, good feedback, not just sit there and say, oh, my Haaland has missed a sitter from 2 yards out, the game is not great. You know, give good feedback where we have the opportunity to. But no, it's promising.
Can't wait. I cannot
Be
wait.
Good.
Gaffer, do you want to take us home?
Oh, you've absolutely been gaffer today, haven't you, mate? You've led the
got the
show very,
iPad
very
on.
well. No, obviously for a first podcast, I did have a bit of paranoia halfway through because it's defaulted to my. Is my mic quality like really awful?
It sounds great to me.
Oh,
Sounds all
perfect
good.
then, because yes, it's not on the right microphone. But no, it's been a great chat, and I think if we can schedule this in real commonly and lead this into FC26, we can actually look back on this and see if we were just caught up in a hype train, or if, you know, we've actually got a better game. And I think there's room for some more quality podcasts for Ultimate Team. I know there are some quality podcasts out there already, but if people at home are enjoying this and they want to see more, then just let us know on socials. You know, Richard's got his social in there like a true pro, at Richard Buckley or rbuckley98. But where can people find you, Matt?
Yeah, Matt Foot Trading on Twitter, but also, you know, hit us up on the FUTBIN accounts as well on all the socials. We are across them, so all feedback based on the podcast, FUTBIN especially. If you guys want to sort of pitch new features, it's
Collection
not
book.
just yes, it's coming, FC26. But yeah, all of that stuff. Please do, yeah, leave comments on all the different social platforms, and yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And then if you guys want to find me, then just Nepenthes pretty much everywhere. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If I presume this will go on YouTube as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time.